I'm good.
Glad to have you with us. So if Cullerton says we're down $3 billion in state revenues, the gap next year, that must mean that temporary income tax increase will probably be made permanent, yes?
Well, no, I think his comments were designed to set the stage for the Democrats to try to make that tax permanent. We, the Republicans, do not buy, number one, his number, and secondly, that tax has to be made permanent.
Well, what's the number?
Well, what they did, it's hard to tell what the number is. The number is a snapshot at any given time. But, Amy, here's the problem. You cannot get dragged down in the discussion of, I disagree with you by $500 million here or there. We have to look at the bigger picture here and what's happening in our state. A budget document that maybe aligns the numbers will help us for a few months. I mean, it'll take care of that legal responsibility to actually get that budget passed. However, what it doesn't address is the economy in this state. If we don't fix that, we're going to have a budget problem every single year. And so what we're proposing is, let's make the hard decisions so that we fix the economy so that businesses that are leaving this state in droves, and not just big ones, little ones, and taking families with them, stop doing that and start reinvesting here in Illinois.
That's so true. I know of 2 businesses that have gone north to Wisconsin and maybe 2 or 3 that have gone east into Indiana. That has to be addressed sooner rather than later.
Well, exactly. And the thing is, some of the companies get headlines and, they make a splash. But everybody I've talked to knows a few people that have moved their business. But I think more alarming is how many of your friends and family do you talk to and they go, well, I'm going to spend that 6 months and a day in Florida, or I'm thinking about Tennessee because there is no income tax, or I can buy a much bigger house in a different state because the real estate taxes here are so bad.
Had a major client of the radio station who still is a client, but he picked up and moved not only his business but his family to Tennessee for the exact reason you just outlined.
Yeah, and it's happening everywhere. It's happening everywhere. And the statistics bear this out. It's not just anecdotal, because the statistics that track where people move and how they move verify Illinois is the second worst state in terms of out-migration.
When you bring up, Senator, when you bring up your GOP budget proposals, how is it that the Democrats feel they can mock those proposals and just bury them in committee? I've heard you say that in the past.
Right. Well, obviously, there's a very simple fact of arithmetic here. The Democrats in the Senate have 40 votes, and we only have 19. They only need 30 votes to pass anything, and they control what we do and do not vote on. So they can get the votes for their proposals. Typically, the proposals they like to support are proposals that help the constituencies that elect them. That generally, those proposals cost money.
Okay, so the Republican plan is to roll back that tax increase as promised and to implement additional worker compensation reforms. What does that mean?
Okay, so workers' comp, when we talk about businesses leaving this state, that's one of the biggest issues they have, that they have to pay insurance for every worker they have in case that person gets injured on the job. Well, the way this works right now is someone can get injured on the weekend, come into work and say, oh, darn, my knee hurts, and that employer must pay all the medical costs associated with the injury, even though it didn't happen at work. Now, I will tell you, I hear without exception that employers think this is unfair. It's a huge expense. And that's why big companies, even those that are willing to stay here in Chicago, maybe with their headquarters, are moving their plants to other states. It's a real problem.
Senator, when you talk about disability and workers' compensation, that's kind of the hidden entitlement that we very seldom discuss, but it could really get us to the tipping point of insolvency much quicker than even the other entitlement programs we speak so much of on such a regular basis.
Oh, you're absolutely right, and I think we're just beginning to hear the tip of the iceberg on things like Social Security disability and the huge increases there and what it's costing. But, John, that goes back to my point that we can't get mired down in $1 billion here or $1 million here. We need to look overall, the overarching policy and direction of our country, and what are we doing to incentivize people to be successful, to take care of themselves, to get a good job and take care of their families.
Another
and
reason,
here in Illinois, we're
I'm
going
sorry
the
to
wrong
interrupt.
way.
Another reason that people get disgusted is they see very partisan political moves, much like Governor Quinn moving back his annual budget address until after the primary. I mean, come on the face of that, really? You can't get it done before the primary?
Well, exactly. And that's the problem you have when you have what we have in Illinois, which is complete one-party rule, is the ruling party can abuse the system. The other problem is people, they all want bipartisanship. But what they don't understand is if you really want bipartisanship, it means you have to put your votes on the other guy's ideas, not just the other way around. So I'm happy to be bipartisan, but that means Democrats need to support Republican ideas.
Well, the state has a bleak fiscal picture, that's for sure. Another reason to elect a Republican governor. Which one of the 4 candidates are you standing behind?
I know 3 of them. I've served and worked with them, and I know Bruce Rauner. I think any one of them could do a better job than the current incumbent. And the beauty is, as you point out, getting some balance back into this state is absolutely key. That, in and of itself, is reason to elect a Republican.
Is there any one particular candidate, though, that stands out?
No, I think they could all do a better job. They all have unique qualities. So I have stayed out of the primary, but I will be working hard for whoever emerges.
Senator, thank you for your time this morning, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. All righty, you too.
Bye-bye. That is Senator Christine Radogno, the Republican Illinois State Senate leader, joining us this morning on our Turnkey.Pro answer line.